Africa's textile.
Mwenzangu Dingo, this is my house.
It's not a big deal.
It is to me.
So yani wewe uone kitu chochote kizuri kwa mwenzio isipokuwa cha kwako
Wewe unafahamu shida zangu mimi na Sari. Yule mwanamke ameniweza kwa sababu ananitatiza. Sijui nifanye nini yani.
Boss, Maya mpotezo mkufu sasa ndio tumeuchukua.
Dingo! Tafadhali fanya heshima na watu na kwao.
Sikiza, niko na shughuli na yeye leo.
Kupata skizo tune ya Karau na DJ, bonyeza *811 *967#.
Raya, hii ni kwa matiche wote. Please, do not confuse the government. Usianza kufinya ile kitu inasema more fire. Ama ile ya the roof is on fire. Ama unaanza kusema we are killing this party. Ama the party is just a bomb. We are having a blast. No. Wewe cheza musiki and just be Fitland. Enjoy ama namna kani. Sawa. Over and out.
Bonyeza *811 *967#. *811 *967#.
Uanzaje kuomba?
Sijali nitakufundisha kuomba polepole.
Teach, say it hi.
Can you just leave? Ametikia?
I was hoping that maybe we could have breakfast together, please.
Are you sure?
Am I sure that I want to have breakfast with my husband?
Jana tu ndo umenitajia Magda.
But you're still my husband and my son's father. I will never do anything to harm you.
Christine wamesikizana na baba Felix tena?
Ni mwanamke gani atasikizana na mwanamke amejaa kiburi hivyo?
Lakini Christine ni mrembo pia.
Urembo peke yake haitoshi.
Is Fiona back?
Is your husband at home?
That's none of your business.
And this family is none of yours.
Good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News. Well, I trust you're having a lovely day so far. My name is Jacky. Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maure. Now, to kick us off, the Makueni Devolution Conference will be the last of the annual meetings, according to the Council of Governors. The county bosses resolved that going forward, the forum will be held after every 2 years to allow ample time for implementation of resolutions and feedback.
The 7th and final annual Devolution Conference will be held from 23rd to 26th August 2021 in Makueni Boys High School, Makueni County. The theme of the conference is multi-level governance for climate action. The sub-theme is subnational mobilization in unlocking the full potential of climate action during and after pandemics. The Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors are working towards ensuring strict adherence of the COVID-19 protocols. To actualize this, the COG, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Makueni County, have rolled out a massive vaccination drive. Currently, there is ongoing vaccination as we speak, and all the delegates who are going to come to this conference will all have been vaccinated. Initially, this conference was supposed to have 6,000 delegates. The KAKAMEGA conference had over 7,000 delegates. The Kirinyaga conference had over 7,000 delegates. But this conference, in the multi-agency meeting, it was agreed that we have only not more than 1,000.
But it will go on in a different mode. It will not be like the 6th and the 5th in KAKAMEGA and Kirinyaga. It will be scaled down considerably from 6,000 to 1,000 and in strict compliance with COVID-19 protocols. Final annual devolution conference before we go into the next general elections. It will be an end of the first era of 10 years of devolution. We will be reflecting on our journey. As the president's term ends, he's the one who has fathered devolution and nurtured it over his 2 terms.
In other news, Kiambu County plans to establish counseling and rehabilitation centers in its sub-counties in an effort to address rising mental health cases. Deputy Governor Joyce Ngugi says the centers will be well equipped with counselors to guide and help those suffering from mental illnesses, even as she decried a surge in suicide cases in the region.
Speaking when she met mental health experts in Thika Town, Kiambu Deputy Governor Joyce Ngugi said her government would work closely with experts to provide counseling services in centers as well as visit institutions of learning in the area to advise on mental health.
Once we roll out on this program, going to assist, we'll handle each and every department, starting with our institutions, to visit to our institution and to speak to our young people, to empower them and to enlighten them on how to handle different cases, different levels of stress.
She said the county numbers are worrying, with a reported surge in suicide, domestic violence and drug abuse, among other vices.
Many people have lost their jobs, and once they lose their jobs, back there at home, they also argue within the families. They will have a lot of drinking because of the idleness now that they are not going to work. And this automatically has raised the level of mental illness, a lot of depression actually.
Susan Gitau, a psychologist in Thika, called on the government to educate teachers about mental health as well as ensure schools have mental health practitioners who can help students deal with mental illness. Statistics from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations ranked Kiambu first in the number of suicide cases between March and June this year, at 109 cases against 483 nationally.
Right now we are having rising cases of mental health illness in schools. Talk of the teachers, talk of the support staff, talk of the students, because it's not just about educating that student. You need to know who are you educating. Just like we are saying, development. When you have road constructions, we have building coming up, institutions coming up, very good learning institutions, and we don't have learners who are mentally healthy, then it's all good for nothing.
We are planning also to start in sensitizing people that if you identify somebody, or maybe even online it's your friend, you've seen such an odd remark, you can refer them to somebody and we'll reach out to see that everything is okay.
Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
Over 400 public service vehicle operators in Machakos County have been vaccinated in a mass vaccination exercise conducted by the Ministry of Health. The vaccination is aimed at taming the spread of the virus following the easing of COVID-19 restrictions on public service vehicles to carry full capacity.
The exercise, which is ongoing in Tala Bus Park, Machakos County, has seen a large turnout of drivers who are seeking to be vaccinated. Drivers who spoke after receiving the jab said they have a responsibility to protect themselves and their passengers from the killer virus.
Na nimefika hapa siku ya leo nikapata kuna chanjo hii ya corona. Na kwa sababu sisi tunatembea na watu wengi. Kulingana na venye tunatembea hatujui watu wametoka sehemu gani, sehemu mbalimbali. Nikasema hata mimi navaa nidungwe sindano.
Officials who undertook the exercise said the turnout was impressive and that Kenyans are now realizing the need for vaccines.
Tuko na madriver zaidi ya 400. Sasa wote wale leo watu wamepata huduma ni kama 400 na kitu. Sasa tunaomba wale wengine bado hawajapata huduma wakuje wapate hiyo huduma.
Now, Kakamega Deputy Governor Professor Philip Kutima has urged civil servants residing in the county to go for the COVID-19 vaccination. The Deputy Governor urged locals to discard myths surrounding the vaccine, saying it is safe.
Deputy Governor Professor Philip Kutima has urged all civil servants residing in the county to take the COVID-19 jab. The Deputy Governor urged locals not to be swayed by rumors that the vaccine is harmful. The county, according to the Deputy Governor, has so far received more than 18,000 doses of vaccines from the government.
Tumekuwa na vaccination. Hii vaccination. Lakini tulipoita watu kwamba waache vaccination, watu walikuwa wachache sana. Wengine wanasema mambo mengine. Hadi hii inafanya mlisikia hii.
He said the county is expecting to receive more oxygen plants by end of this week.
Tulikuwa na shida ya oxygen plant. Tuna oxygen plant 2. Hizo zinatoa 550 liters per minute of oxygen.
So far, Kakamega County has reported more than 14,000 coronavirus cases with 89 deaths.
Well, on that note, we take a short break. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
I know, for instance, that in certain other aspects where you are right and where we agree with you, certain hotels in this town, in Mombasa, in other places of Kenya, have gone out of their way to cash in on the tourist boom by raising prices of spirits and of soda and everything else, in the hope that because the tourist has landed in Kenya and he has to have a whiskey, after all, if he's a whiskey drinker, he's going to drink whiskey. Therefore, he is forced to pay a price higher than he would pay anywhere else. Now, I say they're cashing in on tourism, and make no mistake about it, they're trying to cash in on tourism. If they were dependent on we locals, they wouldn't behave the way they are behaving. Because I can come and buy my bottle of whiskey from you. I don't have to pay 6 shillings for one tot of whiskey. I'll keep my own whiskey. In fact, I know one friend of mine who goes with his own whiskey into the bar.
Mwenzangu Dingo, this is my house.
It's not a big deal.
It is to me.
So yani wewe uone kitu chochote kizuri kwa mwenzio isipokuwa cha kwako eh?
Wewe unafahamu shida zangu mimi na Sari. Yule mwanamke ameniweza kwa sababu ananitatiza. Sijui nimfanye nini yani.
Boss, Maya mpotezo mkufu sasa ndio tumeuchukua.
Dingo! Tafadhali fanya heshima na watu na kwao.
Sikiza, niko na shughuli na yeye leo.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo.
This man is my father.
There were other ways to take Max out of our plans. If you had informed me of what you wanted to do,
I would never have approved that you blamed your brother for a man's murder.
Hello, Ceci. Good afternoon.
Yvonne, what are you doing here?
Liana, don't tell me you two are accomplices.
Because we are. Amaya is not what she has been pretending to be. She is the victim in all this mess.
Mr. Maximiliano Montesinos will be charged and detained. He will be sent to the penitentiary, where he will await his trial and be sentenced by a judge.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tumekuandalia kemkem kwa upande wa kilimo na ufugaji.
Jua hizi machakula kama maboga tunanunua ziko na chemicals mingi. Lakini mimi najua ile natoa kwa shamba yangu vile iko. Haina chemicals, haina nini. Naambia kina mama, hiyo mshahara tunapata haitoshi. Tuna mambo mengi tunaweza fanya. Kwa hivyo hata kama unapata kidogo kwa mshahara ni vizuri umix na something else. Sasa ukiwa na shamba, kama uko na shamba usiachilie shamba hivyo. Hiyo ina boost wa mama sana.
Left and found for you. I found her crying by the administration block.
Why are you calling lost and found? Just leave me alone.
Such a big woman crying so much in public. Feel free to keep the handkerchief.
Hello. Can I help you?
Finally, someone who speaks my language. I was hoping someone would come and ask that. So, can you?
Hey, friend, I know too well not to agree to that at all. Nay, I am not prepared for your evil motives today, Vivian. Please, leave.
Viv! Is Viv? What's the question, Fifi? Fifi!
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Welcome back. Livestock traders from Isiolo County have decried increasing cases of livestock theft in the region and blamed police for not providing security. In the latest incident that occurred on Tuesday, armed bandits raided the livestock market at Archer's Post in Samburu East and stole 104 heads of cattle and over 50 goats in broad daylight. The traders accused security officers based at the nearby Archer's Post police station of doing nothing to counter the attackers.
Led by Nicholas Lorot, the traders said that this was not the first incident where livestock traders have been robbed of their animals. They said such cases were rampant along the Isiolo-Marsabit highway, where lorries ferrying livestock from the Merile and Marsabit markets are waylaid and animals stolen at gunpoint.
Sisi tumefanywa maskini na jirani wenzetu ambao ni jirani ya kutoka kaunti ya Samburu. Na sio mara ya kwanza. Hii ni kama mara ya 4. Tuliweza kupotesha mali soko ya Merile last year. Tumepotesha ng'ombe soko ya Wamba. Na tumepotesha ng'ombe hapa soko ya Achas hapa karibu jirani. Na wale watu walitufahamia wanajulikana.
He said this is the first such raid inside a protected livestock market.
Tunaomba serikali iingilie kati kwa hili jambo. Kwa sababu hii jambo imekuwa donda suku. Hii ni kitu imekuwa mazoea. Sisi huwa tunapangiwa mpango. Na tunaomba pia serikali ya kaunti ya Samburu ijitokeze kwa hili swala, kwa sababu mara nyingi sisi tunapofahamiwa tunawapelekea report, hiyo kitu inalalishwa inaishia hapo. Tunataka leo wawe serious.
The traders said that they were preparing to leave the market for Isiolo with the animals they had just bought when the bandits attacked them and got away with the animals. The stolen animals belong to 28 traders from both Isiolo and Meru counties. The traders lamented that they have been ambushed on many occasions along the Isiolo-Marsabit highway by armed Morans and urged the government to provide security at the livestock markets as well as introduce frequent patrols along.
Kenyans will go to the polls on August 9th, 2022 in one of the most costly elections for both the electoral body and candidates. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission says it will need 40.9 billion shillings to carry out the election, while candidates will fork as much as 40 million shillings for a senatorial seat. Now, according to a report by the Westminster Foundation of Democracy Limited and the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy, the millions candidates spend in campaigns may not necessarily guarantee them of victory.
According to the research, one cannot run for any elective post if one does not have millions of shillings, not even for a member of county assembly seat. The choice of party is equally important because of majority of the electorate vote along party lines.
Spending, however, is not enough. The choice of political party also matters. So, as we know how our politics is structured in Kenya, those who are able to contest with a dominant party in a particular region have a significant advantage over those who may be contesting with either smaller parties or as independent candidates.
The cost of politics research reveals that the Senate seat is the most expensive of all the parliamentary seats in Kenya. Tom Boya, a governance expert and one of the authors of the research, it cost an average of 35.5 million shillings to contest the Senate seat in 2017. Some senators spent as much as 40 million shillings and won, while others spent close to 50 million shillings but lost.
The fact that because they are campaigning on a county basis, county-wide, this drove up the cost of their campaigns. And so because their costs for transportation, for publicity, and for all these various things had to cover an entire county. Whereas in the case of the National Assembly, they only need to concern themselves with a constituency, or in the case of a county assembly, they need only worry about a ward.
The county woman representative seat is not cheap either, as its candidates spent an average of 22.8 million shillings. To be elected as an MP, candidates spent at least 18 million shillings, while campaigns for the member of county assembly were the least expensive, with contenders spending 3.1 million shillings on average, while others spent as much as 8 million and still lost.
While those who lost spent an average of 13.4 million shillings. So again, more than double the cost. In the case of the National Assembly and the County Assembly seats, the figures are a little bit closer. Those who won spent an average of 21.2 million, whereas those who lost spent 14.9 million.
Boya reveals that whereas the more you spend, the higher the chances of winning your party tickets at time holds sway.
It is unfortunate that politics has become transactional. Okay, it is transactional in the sense that money is a very key determinant of electoral success, is one of the key determinants. And so you keep spending, particularly if you look at the dynamics and the trends. You tend, if you're in a dominant party, you tend to spend more at the primaries level, at the party primaries level, than you do at the general election.
One of the findings of the research was that women spend as much as men, and in many cases more to get elected, but still with mixed outcomes.
And the fact that perhaps the average voter hasn't come to accept women as national leaders and as parliamentary leaders. So this is actually also one of the recommendations that we have made as a result of this research, which has to do with supporting female candidates, not just not just at the party level, but also in terms of building capacity to be able to conduct electoral processes.
The research further found out that once elected, the legislators used their seats to recoup the cost incurred. The summary of the finding is that politics is largely a pursuit for the wealthy. These costs are more so prohibitive for women and youth, albeit for different reasons. In a bid to foster equality in campaigns for next year's election, IEBC has released campaign financing and spending limits for all elective seats in the country. Enforcement to ensure compliance with these caps in spending is another matter.
So if we cap this, and actually you even as an individual, as a candidate, that is around, I think maybe your personal contribution should not go beyond 20%. So it means it will help you. You cannot overspend the entire family investment on an electoral process.
It makes it more transparent in terms of where campaign resources are coming from, but importantly, it goes a long way in terms of leveling the playing field and ensuring that politics doesn't simply become a game.
Transport services have stalled in Tala, Machakos County for the better part of Thursday after 3 Matatu SACCOs engaged in a fight over fares. 2 SACCOs, KAM and Makata, have accused a newly introduced Naikana SACCO of charging Nairobi-bound passengers 100 shillings, while they have been charging up to 350 shillings for the same distance.
The chaos from the Matatu wars triggered the intervention of anti-riot police from nearby police stations to prevent the fight from escalating. Area residents were delighted with the new fare announcement.
Hizi gari zimekuja hapa zinatubeba na bei nafuu. Tunabeba na 100 kutoka hapa kwenda Nairobi. Zingine pale tunabeba na 400.
The locals believe the introduction of Naikana SACCO has ended years of monopoly by the KAM and Makata Matatu agencies.
Inaonekana hata upande wa mashabiki Naikana imechukua mashabiki kibao na wameungwa mkono na wakaaji wa Tala waanze kubeba hivyo ili nao vijana wapate kazi.
A supervisor for the new Naikana SACCO noted that travelers had been charged what he believed were unreasonably high fares.
Tala, there's something called monopoly imekuwa ikiendelea hapa. The same SACCOs ndio wanataka kubeba, hawataki any other SACCO ingie hapa county, hapa Matungulu sub county.
The Naikana employee confirmed the company helped a lot in creating jobs for local youth.
Na the more the SACCOs, the more the work. So tunaomba turuhusiwe tufanye kazi kama vijana. Juu ni kazi tunataka.
For Lunchtime News, my name is Yusuf Hello.
Now, the government of Japan has pledged to continue investing in Kenya's education sector. Japan Ambassador to Kenya, Ryoki Hori, says Japan has been encouraged by the progress in education standards in Kenya, promising to channel more funds to infrastructural development in Kenyan schools.
Speaking when he commissioned newly constructed classrooms at Kamu Primary School in West Pokot County, Ambassador Roich said Japan has injected another 16 million Kenyan shilling in education in the region.
The contract to grant about 9 million Kenyan shillings to Autumn Boys Secondary School. This fund will be utilized to construct additional classrooms and improve the overall study environment of the students.
Roichi said Japan remains committed to the improvement of the quality of education for children in the remote parts of the county.
However, what I prioritize is how to improve the lives of the ordinary Kenyan people across the country.
Governor John Lonyangapuo said that the 2019 landslide completely destroyed Kamu Primary School, thanking the Japanese government for coming to their aid. Japan is funding more than 300 projects in Kenya at a cost of 2.3 billion shillings, with education taking the biggest share. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Love Miriam.
Now, the government of Migori is raising the red flag over a trend where residents who test positive for COVID-19 avoid seeking treatment in hospital, instead opting for home-based care even when in critical stage of the infection. The County Department of Health is attributing this scenario to fear for stigma among residents.
The Migori County Chief Officer in charge of health noted that majority of the residents have gone back to normal activities with reckless abandon after the county's curfew hours were readjusted to start from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
The way this disease progresses, we need to be on guard and we need to take any precaution possible to make sure that we protect ourselves from COVID-19.
The health officer adding that the county has put enough measures in place, including equipping the oxygen plant with a production capacity of 1,000 liters per day.
We've identified that somebody needs to graduate into isolation in a facility, but I want to think it's because of stigma. Some patients actually refuse and we have to cancel them and have them admitted into the facilities.
And now on matters business, the face of the coast region is expected to change radically due to the ongoing upgrade of infrastructure in the region. Infrastructure Cabinet Secretary James Macharia has said the projects worth more than 500 billion shillings will help attract new investments in the region. President Uhuru Kenyatta has directed contractors working on various projects to conclude them within budget and on time.
Yes, the coastal region has suffered from dilapidated infrastructure and haphazard development plans, dealing a major blow to the investment attractiveness of the region. However, intensive investment in new projects is slowly changing the face of the coastal counties. A new port at Lamu, the expansion of Mombasa Port and a new railway line have given a lifeline to the erstwhile sagging economic fortunes in the region. According to the Ministry of Infrastructure, the government has invested more than 3.5 trillion shillings into various projects that have improved transport in the region. Some of the projects include the Dongokundu bypass, which is now at 33%. The 9-kilometer dual carriage will cost 25 billion shillings. It involves the construction of an interchange at Likoni Lungalunga Highway and erection of 2 bridges, one at Mwache spanning 660 meters and another at Mteza straddling 1,440 meters.
The Chagamo interchange is part of the project we are doing from Mombasa Island to Kwajomvu, a project of about 16 billion shillings with our partners, the European Union and European Investment Bank.
Speaking during a tour of ongoing projects in the region, Transport and Infrastructure Cabinet Secretary James Macharia said the Changamo interchange, which will be a 3-decker first of its kind in East and Central Africa, is expected to be opened to the public by the end of October. Other projects include the 4.5 billion Makupa Bridge, the 16 billion 3-decker Changamo interchange, and the 19 billion shillings dual carriage from Kwanjomvu to Mariakani. So far, President Uhuru Kenyatta has launched phase 1 of the Dongokundu bypass, which costs 11 billion Kenya shillings, and the Likoni floating bridge at 1.9 billion shillings. President Kenyatta, who has been on working visit to the coast, has urged contractors handling the project on time and on budget. For Lunchtime News, I'm Brian Munyuki.
Unveiled a 5-year plan outlining tighter regulation of much of its economy. It says the 10-point plan will be covering areas including national security, technology and monopolies in the world's second largest economy. Here are the details of these and other stories from across the globe.
The plan comes soon after China started targeting the technology and education industries. The 10-point plan, which runs to the end of 2025, was released jointly by China's State Council and the Communist Party's Central Committee. The world's second largest economy says laws will be strengthened for important fields such as science and technological innovation, culture and education in order to tackle monopolies and foreign-related rule of law. The announcement raised fresh concerns that China's crackdown on technology and private education companies is set to continue and expand in years to come. Meanwhile, Google employees in the US who opt to work from home permanently may get a pay cut. The technology giant has developed a pay calculator that lets employees see the effects of working remotely or moving offices. Google has no plans at this time to implement the policy in the UK. Employees in many businesses have proved that working from home permanently is viable during the COVID pandemic. This move comes after big tech companies including Microsoft, Facebook and Twitter have offered less pay for employees based in locations where it is more inexpensive to live. Finally, the White House urges the world's top oil producers to take action as crude oil prices rise. The US government says the price of oil is now higher than before the pandemic, and this could threaten the global recovery. Members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies recently agreed to boost supply to help stabilize the situation, adding 400,000 barrels a day to their output. However, the White House says these efforts are simply not enough.
And on sports news, Kepa Arrizabalaga came off the bench to help European champions Chelsea win the UEFA Super Cup through penalties against Europa League champions Villarreal. With the teams locked at 1-1 after extra time, it took a 6-5 win on penalties in Belfast for Thomas Tuchel side to win it thanks